welcome to the Ottawa Arts Center at Bethel Horizons. I'm Jennifer Malley, the director here, and this is the second short project video that we're presenting here. And today we are making no-knead bread. So this is the finished bread, what it looks like, and I will walk you through the steps. So the equipment that you're going to need to make this bread is a 1 cup measuring cup. You're going to need some teaspoons, a wooden spoon, a bowl to do your mixing in, and some water. And you're also going to need some saran wrap. And the most important thing you're going to need is a cast iron pan, and it's with a top on it. And that is really important. We'll talk about that in a minute. The ingredients that you'll need is flour. I'm making the most basic bread today with white flour, but you can substitute it out with different flours. You're going to need salt, yeast, and water. And today I've also added a little bit of flax seeds for the end, and we'll get to that as well. So I'm starting here with a bowl and with 6 cups of just plain white flour. And to this bowl, I am going to add 2.5 teaspoons of salt. Okay, we're going to mix that up a little bit, and as you can see, I'm not real accurate, it's just kind of a ballpark, so about 2.5 teaspoons of salt. Now, I'm going to move on to water. It takes about 2 2/3 cup of water. And the water does not need to be warm, it can just be plain tap water. And to this water, I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of dry yeast. This isn't instant yeast, it's just your normal bread yeast. So here's it's about a little bit more than a heaping teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, of yeast into the water. And I'm going to give it a quick mix. So you don't have to wait for the yeast to proof. You just kind of mix it into the water, and it'll be fine. Now the fun part about this bread is that it's so simple that it is as easy as taking this water and adding it to the flour and salt mixture and getting it into a sticky dough consistency. Add it a little bit at a time. Doesn't take too long. Sometimes you need a little bit more water or maybe a little less, just depending on your flour. Sometimes it just needs a little more water sometimes. You want to make sure you get all the flour away from the sides as much as you can and from the bottom. We're almost done here. Little tiny bit more water, but I may not need this whole, I may need it. Let's see. It can be a little sticky. Sometimes making bread, the kind of breads that you need, you are used to adding it so that it becomes very elasticy and that you've worked the glutens in. But you've developed the gluten. but this can remain kind of sticky. Okay, I would say we're in pretty good shape right now. So this is about the consistency that you want it. And at this point, what you would do is you would take saran wrap and you'd cover this, so keep all the air in, and you'd let it rest on your counter for, sometimes it's done in 8 to 10 hours. Sometimes if you were in a cooler house, it may take more like 12 to 14 hours. So that's all you do. You walk away from it. And this is an example of what mine looks like that I made last night at about 10 o'clock at night. So this is about 10 hours later. So we have a very well developed dough here. So I'm going to just take this off the best I can. Okay. So when you get to this point, now I'll explain how you cook it. Because we don't have an oven here, I'm just going to have to explain it. So I would go to my oven, and you want to put your cast iron pan in with a lid, put it in, and turn the oven up to 475. Now some ovens, because we don't normally cook at 475, I suggest using a thermometer so you can make some adjustments, because you really do need 475. You want to heat the oven up with this in it and keep it in the oven for 30 minutes. The point being that you want this metal to be very, very warm and very hot before you put your dough in. Meanwhile, while this is in the oven heating for half of an hour, you're going to come and just punch this dough down and let it rest for 30 minutes. So as you can see, it's developed a nice stretchy gluten during the evening. So it's a beautiful dough. So you just put it back in here, and 30 minutes later, when your oven is heated up, this dough would be ready. So we're going to pretend like this is in the oven, okay? And it's hot, so I would open the oven up, take the top off. At this point, I often use some flaxseed. And I just put the flaxseed over the top like this. It just makes a nice crust, and it keeps things from sticking. So while this is very hot, I take my dough like this, and I just put it in the pan like this. I would put the top back on it. I would put it in the oven for between 30 to 35 minutes, depending on how you think your oven runs. I usually put it in for 35 minutes on my oven. After 35 minutes, go in and remove the top and put it back in the oven for about, it could be anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes without the top on. And what that does is that develops this nice brown crust. After you peek in and you get the crust to where you like it, then you can turn the oven off and take your pan out. And I would take it out immediately. I usually use a wooden spoon and pop it right out of here. You don't need any oil. You don't grease this or anything. It just pops right out. And then you can let it rest for about an hour. And I wouldn't cut into it for about an hour to 2 hours after it comes out of the oven. And that is how you make no-knead bread. What we'll do is we'll post the exact recipe on the Adama Art Studio website, so you can copy it down and make your own bread. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll have another one shortly. You can reach us through our website at adamaartstudio.org. Thank you.